Hi, Libra. Sorry that it's taken me so long to do your video. I was doing a lot of things. I had a lot of stuff going on in November, December, January. It's the new year now. I moved right after the holidays, so there was a lot going on with that. So this is going to be a reading for January 15th through February 15th, 2020. I'm recovering. Oh, the tower. I'm recovering from, the cold and the flu. Those symptoms were intense. My God. Overworked, right? Some of you are, definitely. That's probably why the tower came up. A lot of things to do. Trying to focus. Trying to push through. Trying to stay balanced and stay focused, right? That's for sure. One more. Actually, no, this is it because this is Libra, right? So here we go. And it might even seem a little bit weird because I am recovering. So like if I seem kind of strange, that's why. The Fool is what came up at the bottom of the deck. So this is Uranus, right? So you might be dealing with an Aquarius. It's so weird because like when I was shuffling the cards the first time, so I cleared it out before I started shuffling on camera, right? And there were a lot of Aquarius cards coming up. And to me, Aquarius and Libra share Saturn in common, but then they also share the number 11, as in the Justice card is number 11, and Aquarius is the 11th house. So the energy trines, it can create harmony, right? In ways. So the Fool has come up. So this is talking about being optimistic, having a lot of faith, seeing that a new beginning is possible, right? This talks about the possibilities. Anything can happen, right? Uranus is a planet of change, right? And it's a planet of change that is highly felt, right? Intensely felt, right? And it's just very noticeable as well, the change, right? It's the higher octane of Mercury. So Mercury kind of like gives us all of the different senses, right? So this is like sensory overload, you know what I mean? Just by the changes that might be happening. Or you might even feel something like, it's like under the ground, right? It's like you feel something that's coming, And this is right before the dawn of a new beginning, right? It's almost kind of like you've even gotten rid of some things. Some of you guys might even need to purge some things, get rid of the extra baggage. We could even be talking about extra baggage that needs to be just kind of like released and let go. So let me go ahead and lay the cards out now that I've gotten started. It's really crazy. Not the reading, but just like how I was feeling yesterday. It was nuts. Okay, also, a transformations. There could be some changes that you're thinking about because Uranus is exalted in Scorpio. So, there could be some past intimate relationships that you might be just kind of like letting go of anything or giving it back to the universe. Maybe, you find yourself in this new beginning with all of that stuff behind you. And that's why Uranus is here, right? Very present in the beginning of the reading, taking things, leaving them behind you. You don't need it on you anymore. 8 of Wands, okay? This is Mercury and Sagittarius, okay? So this is not feeling restrained because Sagittarius is not going to restrain Mercury, right? This is a lot of communication, a lot of things taking place, and I feel like, there might be some opportunity here with whatever this news is that you hear, right? I'm also getting that it's important that you speak or you talk or you kind of try to reach out, right? So you can get what it is that you want. I feel like some of you guys have some goals, right? You want to feel empowered by reaching these goals, yes? And that's what this 8 is doing here because the 8 is related to the Strength card, but it's also related to the 8th house of Scorpio, right? So you need to transform. You need to move forward. You need to leave all of the crap behind you. And the challenge here is the Magician. So you got the Fool and then you got the Magician, right? The Magician is talking about focus. It's talking about, the idea of something, the essence of something, right? How you are inspired to undergo the changes that need to happen for you to have this new beginning, right? And it's like knowing what you're working with and how are you going to channel this energy? How are you going to use this knowledge to your best ability, knowing what you're capable of as well, because you have Mercury crossing the 8 of Wands. So this is knowing all of your multiplicities, right? All of the different things you can do. You are unlimited, and you understand that because you have the Fool here at the bottom of the deck. Uranus, unlimited change, right? So, when you're fighting a change, you're limiting yourself, right? When you're fighting a change, you're limiting the possibilities. When you're fighting the change and the transformation, you're risking something. You're risking yourself. You know what I mean? It's like you're not allowing yourself to grow or to change, because with change comes growth, right? And with growth comes change. So we're looking at that. Sorry. In your past Knight of Cups, you could have been dealing with a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You know what I mean? Because some of those placements can be more potent than the other. Because if you know a person that has a sun and a sign that it might be weakened or debilitated in, right? And then they have like the moon in a place where it's really strong, then you're probably going to get more out of that, right? Energy from that person. Anyway, the Knight of Cups is Pisces, but it's also a little bit of Aquarius, right? So you're coming from that place of universal love. But how are you going to offer that universal love in a way that it's going to be beneficial? Okay. What are you getting out of it? What are other people getting out of it? This is also healing, right? It's kind of like you yourself need to heal from the past, and you need to heal from past relationships. And the Knight of Cups is ruled by Neptune, and it's ruled by Jupiter. So this could be a lot of things going on in the past, a lot of feelings tied to the past. You know what I mean? As I'm looking at the spread, the Knight of Cups is looking in a different direction than the Fool. And like I said, the Fool is leaving all of that crap behind him. And the Knight of Cups does carry a lot of crap with him. Just because he's Pisces, he's the last sign, he's the last water sign. He's the last sign out of all of them. She, he, it, they, them, whatever. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff that comes from that energy of finally getting around to Pisces. So you've been through it. You know what I mean? And it's almost kind of like you are allowing yourself to see how you can maneuver past, right? And it's not even like you need to maneuver right now, because you've already maneuvered through all of it. Like I said, you went through all of the energies, all of the houses, all of the experience, the phases, the changes that led you up to this point, right? Something clearly ended, because we have all of these cards here that talk about beginnings, right? The Magician, the Fool. And the Fool is kind of like stuck in between, not really knowing where you're going, but like knowing that it's going to be better than it was, right? For sure. And the Fool is like God energy too, So some of you might be just feeling very faithful, right? Yeah, orienting yourself with a higher power, right? Aligning yourself with that. Or trying to align your spirit with that, right? Because you can't align yourself with the higher power. Have a higher power. See, I told you, I can't even speak. I can. So in your sun position, it's interesting because there's some opposition here. You have a moon card in the sun position, okay? And this is the moon in Sagittarius. And this is talking about sensitivities and having to, distance yourself, right? Learning that you have to distance yourself so that you from that energy, right? Of feeling highly sensitized to certain things, certain people, the goings on, right? Having to distance yourself, figure out what it is that you want, because it is the Nine of Wands and it is fire and it is Sagittarius. What are your goals? This is saying focusing on your goals, because it's in the sun position. Even though it's the moon is talking about evolution. The moon is talking about change. The moon is talking about needs too. And fulfilling the needs. The moon is round. It wants to, when it's full, right? Fulfilling the needs. Okay? Even if it means that you have to, be resolute in this, right? Sorry, I haven't shown you all the cards, right? Even if it means like, having to do something completely different. Having to go to another place. Oh my gosh. Right? This is good. In the moon position, you have the sun in Virgo, right? And this is the Eight of Pentacles, which is talking about the conditions that you forge, right? or the conditions that you sort of like cultivate, you build, right? The ones that you put out there. It's kind of like the product and the quality as well. You're looking for something, a job, career, right? A position that's going to, you know, put you in a place of feeling more empowered, right? Because it is the Eight of Pentacles, and this is a very potent card. You know, what are you creating? Where's the consistency? That's what you need. You need consistency from, you know, your finances and from your job, right? Because then that will make you feel more like you have more potential, right? That's where, you know, potent potential, right? High potential too, you know. So I don't want you to get stuck in thinking that there's only one channel for you to sort of like go down, right? That's why the Magician came up in the center of the reading here. That's crossing you, right? It's just kind of like needing to know what to do or knowing what to do, right? You might even have the information. That's why the Magician is there. It's like you have the information. All it needs now is the action from the wands that are coming through with Mercury and Sagittarius, right? And it is about work, but it's also talking about, you know, healing from the past. You know, it's like all of this shit is connected. Sorry. So it's like if you're not healing from something, unless you're one of those people that can completely turn off their emotions when they're working, it's like sometimes you just have to work through that shit. You could be working, you could be performing, you could be leading people, and you could be thinking about that time that you were, you know, traumatized from your lover, but you're working. You know what I mean? And you're still doing what you need to do, but you went to that place, right? And it's saying that you haven't healed from it, or you're just kind of like reaching out to that place again. And it's like, why would you even be thinking about something like that when you're supposed to be focused on what you're doing at the time? Probably because you haven't dealt with it, right? And that's it coming up at a time when it's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. Well, anyway, in your anxieties, you have the King of Swords. So you could be having anxieties about an air sign. It could be an Aquarius. It could be a Libra. It could be a Gemini. Or it could be a Capricorn, right? And if it's not that type of person, or if it's not a person with that quality, you are having anxieties about changing your perspective, right? Or about your perspective changing, right? Because you might know what it is that is happening and that is changing, but that doesn't mean that you don't have any qualms about it. You know what I mean? You could fully know, right? The King of Swords, his perspective is very mature, right? Also, this is also talking about, you know, not necessarily mind control, but it could be like psychological manipulation in some kind of way, which is weird because I'm a Libra and I don't feel like I'm going through anything like that. But if there are some Libras out there that feel like they are being psychologically manipulated by someone, then you need to take care of that. You need to see them for who they really are, right? And maybe you do, but you're just kind of like, I feel like you definitely have your eye on somebody. You know what I mean? And it's not like in a romantic or intimate way like that. You know what I mean? You might even be keeping your distance from somebody, right? I don't know. Something like that. But the King of Swords is definitely saying that he has the knowledge, right? He has the information, right? I know, Aquarius, right? The water bearer. So some of you could be thinking that you don't have, you know, that you don't have anything to provide to a situation, but you do. You know what I mean? And then the King of Swords is being, you know, is like self-taught, right? I feel like the King of Swords is very self-taught, you know? So what it is that you have in your mind and in your spirit, it's like no one else can take that from you. Sorry, and no one else has that. Sorry, I should have brought some water close to me, but I don't have it near me. In your Mars position, you have the Nine of Swords, okay? So this is Mars in Gemini. So this is just worrying about a lot of things, you know. How am I going to get here? How am I going to do this? What's going on with this? It's just a lot of worry, right? And that's why the King of Swords is here. You have the anxieties. It's almost like you You're trying to control the thoughts, you know what I mean? You're being patient as well, right? And I'm just saying that because I'm seeing another card that's coming up. But the Nine of Swords is saying that you're putting a lot of energy and maybe even potentially a lot of effort, right, and aggression into your thoughts, right? And when we say aggression, we're not talking about like anger, but a lot of energy, right? So this is what is aggressive. Also, you know, be sure not to communicate too aggressively, you know what I mean? Because that could be what this means too as well, you know. Maybe some of you might be worried that you communicated too aggressively, or maybe someone could have communicated aggressively to you, or maybe you communicated in the wrong way, right? Something like that. You know, the Nine of Swords is also talking about, you know, that you're going in on your thoughts, right? Right? Your thoughts are feeding off of one another. So some of you need to really relax, right? Or you need to do something to sort of calm your mind, yeah? This could even be having a lot of ideas that you don't know how to direct. A lot of energy, right? That you don't know how to direct. Okay? But it's saying that we need you to do that. And we need you to sort of come to this place of feeling recalibrated, right? In your energy and in your spirit, you know what I mean? Because it's like I'm recovering, and if any of you out there were sick, then it takes a lot to sort of like get back into your normal energy after that, right? Oh wow, okay. So in the relationship placement, in the Venus placement, you have the World card, and the World card is talking about it is talking about completions, right? And it's talking about things that are earned. It's talking about learning and knowledge and being able to apply, maturity, right? So this card is saying that you've been through a karmic phase, or there was some kind of karma attached to a relationship, because it's in the Venus placement. You know, time, right? This is a 3, so it's talking about healing something, you know, being that it's related to the Empress, right? It refers back to her. You know, it's almost like you need to nurture yourself more after these experiences, right? In the relationships, do the work. The World, Saturn, Capricorn, doing the work, phase by phase by phase, point by point by point, allowing it to flow though, because we're not talking about forcing it, right? And that's why we have this in the Mars position. We're not forcing it, we're letting it have flow, right? Unflux. Okay, and the World is definitely talking about things that you need to do, right? For sure. But you've reached this level of completion. A new phase is coming in. And it definitely could be, it could just be like in a relationship for some of you out there. And it could be a relationship that you have no idea about yet. And for some of you, it could just be that you've matured in your mind, in the way that you do things. Because you have the World here, but then you also have the Fool, which comes right after that, right? Getting you ready for a new beginning. It's kind of like in the works. Something's in the works, right? Something better than what you've already experienced or already have had. I'm not saying that you're no longer going to be a dentist anymore. If you're a dentist, you can stay being a dentist. And then, you know, maybe you're just going to start playing your violin a little bit more. You know what I mean? Join the music society in your town and play there. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. But new beginnings, definitely, with the World being here and the Fool being there. And what's peeking up from underneath the Fool is the Hangman, right? And the Hangman is a 3 because it's 12 and it refers back to the Empress just like the World does. Okay, and this is talking about waiting, time, waiting, okay, for something better. Something that you feel like might bring you a little bit more pleasure. Or you guys are thinking about something that would be ideal for you, you know? Right? Let's look at the future cards now because you have 3 of those. Ace of Rods, a new beginning, potent energy, it has potential, You know what I mean? And this is going back to the Magician. So all you have to do so that you can see this outcome, or you can see the energy move forward in the direction that you want to, because the aces definitely need direction. It's an opportunity to take something and run with it, right? With meaning, passion, and purpose, right? And this is like, you know what your position is, right? You know what your position is. So it's kind of like you have information that you need to just kind of like see yourself want to process, right? By way of action. You know, ending and beginning again. Like I said, a gift from, you know, a burst of energy. Something's going to give you energy. Something's going to make you feel emboldened or impassioned again, right? With this Ace of Rods. Future Page of Cups, trying to understand your emotions about something, right? And like I said to, I think it was either Sagittarius or Capricorn this week for the weeklies, you can't cover up your feelings in materialism, right? So it's not going to take you buying something to help you. Temporarily, yes, you know, if it's something like spiritually connected or spiritually oriented, right? So like flowers, right? Crystals, that type of thing. You know, something that is going to feed, right? The world rules the pages, because they're learning about the suit that they're in, right? So you definitely have learned a lot in terms of relationships and, you know, all of that. Yeah. How you feel, how to handle your feelings, how to deal with your feelings, right? And then it's also how to like have compassion. So this is saying that you need to have compassion for yourself too when healing. Right? You got the Knight of Cups here, and then it's looking across at the Page of Cups. Just saying. Let's look at the card at the top. Wow. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. Learning from your relationships. Saturn and Libra. But this is an exalted card, you know, and some of you might be healing from some relationships, like I said before. Right? Some of you could be going through it with siblings or children, right? But if these are children, then they're probably like either teenage. Actually, there's like a whole family of people here. There's like the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the King of Swords, right? So there could be 3 people. Oh my gosh, I don't know what this is. But yeah. Saturn and Libra, great responsibility in relationships and great responsibility in understanding and processing relationships and what they've taught you. Being able to see the other side of this situation and that it can and it will get better, right? Because when we stay in this conflict, right, in the mind about relationships that we once were in, then we're sort of like keeping ourselves in that place. What have we learned? What can we apply? And how can we appropriate, you know, to this new level of self-understanding and understanding of relationships? And this is saying that you need to provide yourself with a safe mental space, right, as well. You know? You're not letting anybody in. You don't need to let anybody in right now, right? Because you're still dealing. And some of the, I mean, like this 3 of Swords could be like 3 people that you feel like you've been like hurt by, right? For different reasons. Or been affected by, right? Wow. I'm wondering if I'm like, okay. how this applies to me, but it does. I mean, in the recent past, I haven't been with anybody, but over a year ago, I was kind of going through some stuff. But this is also Saturn is talking about time, right? Understanding with time how things have affected you from those relationships, right? Definitely healing, being a 3. You're going to always be connected to those past relationships, but it's kind of like how you deal with that, right? Also learning your lesson. It says the 3 of Swords is like, now you've learned your lesson. And if you haven't learned it, you know what the truth is about something, and it weighs on you heavy. Or, this card also is kind of like, now I have some information that, I don't feel comfortable with. What am I going to do with it? What direction am I going to go in with this information? Right? And it is saying that there's something on the other side of it, because the 3s do have to do with sort of like that energy of gestation, or like something in a process, a seed that's growing, right? Where a lot of things are happening. So a lot of times in your relationships, you don't see certain things coming, and you don't know a lot of the answers to the questions that you might be asking, right? But you're not supposed to, because we need to let time play out so that the karmic cycle can come around to where it was meant to come, right? Because you asking, why did this happen to me, is not like, what am I learning from this that has happened to me? Why, right? So that's what we're looking at, Libra. This was interesting, to say the least. Follow me on Instagram, Providence Tarot, and I am NYC-Kendrick. If you'd like to book a reading with me, email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com.